What's up, everybody? Coming at you again with another build order guide. Today, I'm going to be showcasing a fantastic 1TC build for the Byzantines. Later on this week, I will also be releasing a build order guide for the Fast Castle with Gulping Cataphracts. So keep your eyes open if that's something that you're looking forward to. Now, before we get into the guide, I wanted to address something, which is anyone that is afraid of how complicated the Byzantines are, I want you to know that the Byzantines are not complicated. At least, not in the way that most people think that they are. There's three things that you need to keep in mind as you're playing the Byzantines. Number one, your economy is balanced around these cisterns. So you need to build them and connect them to other cisterns as soon as you can whenever you have the resources to. Number two, every building that you build, including your farms, gives you free stone. So you don't need to come and mine stone in order to build these cisterns and the aqueducts. As you play the game, you will naturally get the resources that you need to build them. Number three, gathering food from berries and farms gives you olive oil. Olive oil can only be spent on military units. So as you play the game, you will naturally be able to build mercenaries for free every couple of minutes. These tend to be some of your strongest units, so just make sure to protect them. And that's really it. If you can wrap your head around those three things, I promise you are ready to play the Byzantines. Don't get me wrong, the Byzantines are very complicated, but it's not because of their mechanics. It's because the mercenary system gives you a wide variety of units. Through the different contracts, you're going to get access to things like longbowmen or keshiks in the feudal age. Or if you go out to the trade posts, you'll be able to build something like sipahi during the feudal age or royal knights. What makes the Byzantines difficult is that you have to learn how to use all of these different units and figure out what situations they're good in, they're bad in. There's going to be a lot of trial and error. But what I can tell you is that you don't even have to learn those things. In 80% of your games, you will be successful by just going the Western mercenary contract and massing up longbowmen. And then you can add behind them Lemetne, which are the Byzantine spearmen. You can add in Varangian guards in Castle Age, horsemen, knights, and you can play the same way in the majority of games, and you are going to have a good and successful time. So, let's go ahead and reset to the beginning of this so that I can show you how the build works. All of what I just said is to tell you that I am going to give you a simple and effective build order in order to get started. And then as you learn the Byzantines, you can pivot and adapt however you want to once you're comfortable with them. So let's go ahead and get into it. When you first get into game, you are going to send all 6 of your villagers onto sheep. You send your scout out, and then you're going to have one villager build a cistern and then a house. And I usually like to make sure that this cistern covers the berries and the gold. Sometimes when the gold and berries are on opposite sides of the town center, you want to prioritize the gold first because you're going to get that gathering bonus, which will help you hit feudal just a little bit faster. But when you can get them both under one, you just need to make sure that wherever the building is going to be placed, it's inside this larger circle. You're going to get 7 on your sheep to start, and then you're going to rally your town center out to gold. So once you have 7, you come out here to gold. You're going to get 3 on gold, and then you're going to come back to sheep. It's all very, very simple, very easy. I love this build order for the Byzantines because you can play it in the vast majority of games. It's very good against feudal aggression. So if you're going up against civs like the French, like the English, you're going to have a really good time in defending yourself and in having a just good, solid game where you feel like you're in control of the game. So once you have 3 out on gold, you're going to go ahead and rally back over to sheep, and we are going to be rallying to sheep until we hit feudal age. So from here on out, You're just waiting until you have enough resources. I like to come over to my villagers and make sure that I select 4 of them, put them in a hotkey, and those will be the villagers that are going to come out and build the Grand Winery. As far as scouting, once again, scout half the map, get as many sheep as you can. One thing to note about this build that is absolutely fantastic is virtually all of the sheep that you gather, you are simply taking them away from your opponent. You are not going to need sheep in this game. So all of the sheep that you get are just a bonus in case your opponent is able to push you off of your second berries. But you will not be gathering very many sheep at all. So if you don't get a lot of sheep, you don't have to worry. So once you have enough resources to go up, you're going to put your Grand Winery. Your Grand Winery is always going to be connected to the berry bush. You typically want to keep it closer to your town center. You don't need to worry about how much space is around it. Just ensure that it's in a place where you're going to be able to defend it relatively easily. Once you're aging up, you're going to go ahead and move all of your villagers. You want 4 to stay on sheep, but then you're going to take 2 of them off of the sheep and then put them onto one of the straggler trees and then rally to the straggler tree. And then once I get 3 on this straggler tree, I like to then tell the town center to come out here to the closest tree line. I will then have a villager build a lumber camp, which you will see in just a minute. And then I tell these villagers to come out to the tree line also once they have finished with this tree. I typically will have my gold villagers do a lot of the building with this build. So your military buildings, your second cistern, houses, I like to use the gold villagers because you're not going to be needing a lot of gold at the very start of getting into Feudal. Once you're there, you're going to get a couple of upgrades, but outside of that, you are not going to be very gold dependent until you're ready to go up to Castle. So you are looking to get about 10 villagers on this wood line right now. So you're going to continue to rally out to wood until you have 10 villagers. You can then take your gold, build a second cistern, connect the cistern. And one thing that makes this really easy, I know there's you have the option of leaving it on Conscriptio, Dialecticus, or Praesadium. One thing that I always try to do when I'm playing the Byzantines is pick one of my cisterns. That cistern will always be on Dialecticus, and it will be for all of the upgrades. Then the other cistern will always be on Conscriptio, and will be where I build all of my military buildings. I always try to make the Dialecticus cistern the one that is connected to the Grand Winery. So this guy here, in just a minute, I'm going to go ahead and turn him over to Dialecticus, and then later in the game, I will make sure that I build my blacksmith somewhere that's in this range, so that the blacksmith will also get the upgrade speed. And then this guy will just be where I pump out all of my military buildings. So during this time, you are going to get your 10 villagers on wood. You want to get your mercenary house and a secondary military building out. So you typically I like to start with the mercenary house, but if I'm going up against an aggressive civ where I need to defend against something early, go the secondary building first. So barracks, archery range sometimes I don't do very often, but stable very often. Go stable or barracks first, and then add your mercenary house second. Otherwise, I like to get the mercenary house up. I get the Western Mercenary contract, and I just start pumping out longbows as soon as I have them. Once you have about 10 villagers on the wood line, you are then going to rally to the berries here to clean up all of these berries. It's also worth noting that as soon as you get into Feudal, you want to take the villagers off of the sheep and put them directly onto the berry patch. And then the reason you have these 10 villagers here on wood is because you are already at 6 minutes into the game going to start adding in farms. This is what's going to really boost your mercenary production and enable you to continually produce mercenaries alongside the Lamentne. And this just ends up being a very strong comp during the early game. It's also worth noting that you want to get your eco upgrades the second you get into Feudal as well. So as soon as you complete the age up with the Grand Winery, you're going to go ahead and get your wheelbarrow, You're going to come over here and get double broadaxe. You will then add in horticulture. And then toward the very end, I like to get the mining upgrade specialized pick, but I don't do that one until I'm going to be getting quite a few villagers on gold, which isn't going to happen until the 11-12 minute mark typically. So during all of this time, once you have enough wood, go ahead and get up your blacksmith, start prepping your upgrades with the gold that you're getting from these 3 villagers. Keep these guys on wood for a very long time, and as you're rallying out to the berries, just every once in a while when you have some extra wood, add in a farm or 2, and you are going to continue to do that while building all of your military production throughout the early game. What's very strong about this build is it is not slow to get to castle. You have the ability to get to castle whenever you want to. However, you are going to be pumping out a ton of early units. So you will see that with this build, by the 10-11 minute mark, you're going to end up having like 40 different military units, which enables you to take secondary resources like more berries, gold that's close by. It'll allow you to wall everything off, and then you can use your military to push your opponent, to fight them, to defend if they're attacking you. You're going to find with this build that you often have exactly what you need in order to be able to defend yourself or to do some serious damage to your opponent, which is why I love it so much. It's very, very consistent, and you can just rinse and repeat this build over and over against just about everything that you will see out on the ladder. So you're going to, as you're rallying out to the berry patch, you want to get to about 21, 22 villagers on food. So as you continually rally, keep adding in farms, wait until you have about 21 villagers on food, and then you're going to come out to the gold after that. The whole time, your barracks never stops producing Lametne or horsemen or whatever it is that you want to produce. And then you want to produce longbows every time you have enough of this resource, olive oil. The mercenaries take about 520 olive oil in order to produce. So there is going to be periods of time where you're not able to produce longbows, but that's okay, because as you can see right now, it's 9 minutes in. I already have 10 longbows, and I'm sitting on 12 Lametne. This is no army to scoff at. Because Lametne are stronger spearmen than standard spearmen. They are 10 resources more expensive than standard spearmen, but they're also stronger. And they have the shield wall ability, which means when you're fighting spearmen archers against your own spearmen archers, yours are going to win because you have longbows and spearmen that take less range damage. And so it just ends up being very, very strong. So again, as you're naturally playing the game, you're going to get free stone. So when you come out to your secondary resource, you automatically want to put up another cistern and then connect it. And you're still looking to get some more villagers out onto the food. And once you are at that 21, 22 number, then you're going to rally back out to gold, which is going to be coming up here in just a minute. The whole time, you want to make sure that you are getting your upgrades. Utilize your blacksmith. Take advantage of some of the extra gold that you have, because one of the strengths of this build is you get to build military the whole time out of one production building and your mercenary house, while you are still getting the resources that you need to age up. So, and look at, all of these starting sheep are still here. I haven't even touched them. If you end up getting attacked and you're not able to come out to this berries, then you have the ability to then fall back to all of these sheep on your town center, which means that you're going to be able to play a very strong, very defensive game. One thing that I will talk about now is how important it is to really get all of your upgrades. As you are playing through the first part of the game, the Byzantine economy is extremely strong. And one of the benefits of that is that you get to get all of your eco upgrades and then just completely forget about them. You don't even have to worry about it. And you want to avoid taking any crazy fights during the early game when you don't have your upgrades yet. So what I like to do typically is get to my numbers where I've set my build up, start getting my upgrades out, get to castle now that we are rallying out to gold. Once I get to castle, I'm instantly going to queue up all of my extra upgrades with the extra gold that I'm going to have. And then as soon as my military upgrades complete, just go fight. And it's a lot of fun. It's very, very effective. So you can see here, I am now just going to be getting as much gold as I can. We're going to have quite a bit of excess gold, and you want to get to like 12 villagers on this gold, because you need to get every single upgrade that you can, and that's going to be very gold intensive. But once you do, you're going to end up having a very easy game after that. One benefit of the Byzantines that is also unique to them, but it's a smaller thing. It's very big, but as far as playing it is not complicated. The houses have an upgrade that you can get at any point. That's right here. You can't see it, but it increases their vision. So this looks like the vision of an outpost almost, but it's just a house. So as you are walling up, you want to place houses near your walls. Don't necessarily block the gate like I did here, but place the houses all around the map as you're expanding, and that will give you an incredible amount of vision. So now you can see I have quite a bit on food, got some on gold. I took 5 villagers that were on wood, and I am now aging up. We're coming up on the 13-minute mark, and I have this army sitting right here that you would be able to use. That is currently 47 units. We're making it up to castle now. I am going up with the Golden Horn Tower. This is the standard landmark that you typically want to use. Cistern of the First Hill is great when you want to play Cataphracts, but otherwise that landmark is not quite as strong as the Golden Horn Tower is over the long game. So if you're going to play a game that goes very long, this is the landmark that you typically want to be using. The moment that we are in castle, what we are going to be doing is playing a pretty standard game. You're then going to get all of your eco upgrades, so get all of the upgrades that you haven't gotten yet. Come over to the blacksmith, queue up all of the blacksmith upgrades, use your grand winery to start building monks, grab relics, use this military to shore up your defenses. So you can see I have walled in the sides of my base. Try to get your walls up similarly, and then the only open areas are this area here, so you can just use your military to protect all of this. And then once you get to castle, you can go ahead and send your military out to help you grab relics. Grab a couple of relics while your upgrades are queued, while you're getting all of your upgrades, and then from there just add in Varangian guards here. You can see I now have 25 longbows, I have 34 Lametne. As soon as I get into castle, I'm now going to be building Varangian guards, which are stronger man-at-arms. They are stronger because of the active ability, not innately. So if you don't use the active ability, just know that they might be a little bit weaker than standard man-at-arms. But man-at-arm versus Varangian guards, when you use their ability, the Varangian guards are stronger. Berserking, which allows them to deal a significant amount of damage. Add in those Varangian guards, and then you can get a really strong death push coming up between the 15 and 20 minute mark. You'll see I'm just adding my upgrades. You want to immediately get your veteran contract even before you build the next set of longbows. As soon as you get into castle, add in more production. I typically like to get 3 or 4 barracks on top of my 1 mercenary house, and then maybe add in an archery range or 2 for crossbows, and then take your army, start securing the map, push in, and deal as much damage to the enemy as you can. One thing that's also noteworthy is I did not build it here, but the outposts that you have a special upgrade. Instead of arrow slits, they have mangonels, which is incredibly powerful. So kind of similar to the way that HRE or Order of the Dragon does, you can kind of put up a couple of different outposts around your base, gather a little bit of stone, and then get the mangonel upgrade, and it will do a very good job of protecting you. So yeah, this is basically the whole build. From here on out, everything is pretty standard. You can then pivot from this point in the game to do whatever you want with this build. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it. I enjoy it every time I play it. This is one of the most fun builds in the game That is my opinion, and I have seen many other people say something similar, that the Byzantines are a whole lot of fun, one of the most fun civs in the game to play. So don't be afraid to try them out, learn them. Again, come into bots, practice a build like this. It's very simple. Conceptually, you just got to learn some of the different things that will happen during the game. But once you get used to building your cistern, building the aqueducts, and understanding how their economy works, it's all very simple. You can rinse and repeat every single game. You're going to have massive armies, bigger armies than your opponent will be able to put up most of the time, and then you can just run at your opponent and have a lot of fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.